we are live. Welcome to this week's Teaching Raid live stream coming to you from Sarlona. This week we have the Mark of Death, which is the epic Orchard or Necro 4 raid, and the Fall of Truth, which is the epic Giant Hold raid. If you haven't joined us for one of these events before, these are events that we've been doing for 5 years now. Me and my guild, the High Lords of Malkir on Sarlona, have been hosting these teaching raids for new players. And so these events are designed for, well, not only new players, but even sometimes we get longtime veterans who just may be new to whatever raid we're doing that night, or maybe even longtime veterans who just shied away from the raiding scene for whatever reason. There's a lot of reasons why people avoid raids. In fact, the majority of the DDO population does not raid, which I was surprised about when I learned that fact. But there's a lot of people out there that don't raid for a lot of different reasons, so we're trying to reach out to all those folks and show them how these raids work in a very low stress learning environment where we can focus on learning the raid mechanics. And we usually do lower difficulties, so like with Mark of Death, we're just going to be doing Epic Normal because it can be a pretty chaotic raid. We just really want to focus on teaching how things work. But with Fall of Truth, we're going to step it up, hopefully do epically, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So actually do have a couple extra spots here, so if you're watching the live stream and you want to join us and you're on Sarlona, got a couple spots here. We have just a couple signups tonight. Usually this late in the season, there's only one more event this year. Next Saturday is going to be Heroic and Legendary Hound of Zoriat, and that's going to be the final. We always shut it. We do this something we do through the winter and spring, and then we shut it down, and then we bring it back the next year. And usually as we get towards closer to summer, attendance definitely starts to dwindle. But last week we had really good attendance, which was a little surprising again, because usually at this point in the season, folks are focusing on other things besides playing video games. But this week we just have two, which is probably more typical for this late in the season. Welcome David Wolf, Anthony Coldstone, Claude Morris. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, that lag we had last night was awful in Defiler of the Just. So if you're watching the live stream, I'm going to take a few minutes to invite the folks that are signed up so you have time to go grab a drink or something before the action gets started. Hey Sahaga, welcome.
Evening.
Hey Baltang, welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Fighting with the cold, otherwise okay.
So we just have just a couple of signups this week, and we're just going to be doing this first one, Mark of Death, on normal. So if you guys want to pause your bravery bonus, you got plenty of time to do that. And whenever you're ready, go ahead and step in. I know both of our signups this week, Sahaga and Baltang, you guys have attended many of our teaching raids, so you guys already know the deal. But just a reminder that if you have any questions at any part in the raid, just let me know. And also a reminder that we are live streaming this. Hey Jim White, welcome to the live stream. Step in and just hang out at the edge. If you step towards the center of the raid, it will start. Let's skip the grease, please. appreciate grease in our guild raids, but not so much in teaching raids. So, Sahaga and Baltang, are you new to this raid, or have you done it a couple times and are still learning?
I'm new
I've
to it.
done this once with you in the teaching grade before.
Oh, you did? Okay. I didn't realize that you had joined us before. Usually I don't let people attend twice for teaching raids. But you have not done Fall of Truth, right?
I have not done the Fall of Truth, correct.
Okay, well, we had plenty of space, so that's right. I remember you saying that now. So, and Sahaga, you're new to this?
Yes, I am.
Okay, have you done the Heroic Abbot raid before?
Nope, never touched Abbott either.
Okay, they look similar. Like the zone is like it looks basically the same at this point, but they're basically two entirely different raids. So I was just gonna say but there are a few mechanics that are similar. So I was gonna start with those, but it's not a big deal if you've never done Heroic Abbot. Which, by the way, we host that as a public event every Thursday night, and it's not a teaching raid, but it's newbie friendly. So we're happy to explain how the raid works to you. So if you're interested in joining us for Heroic Abbot, look for the LFM Thursday nights, 9 p.m.
All right, thanks.
Yep. So, like I said, we're just doing this one on normal because this raid can be very chaotic. And it's a raid that you can literally do in 5 minutes, like on normal. I remember when this raid came out and we were doing speed runs of it, we had gotten our time down. Back then, we were just doing it on normal. We'd gotten our best time down to about 5 minutes. And so if everybody knows what they're doing and everybody's on point, then like boom, it's over, and it almost feels effortless when everything goes right. But it's one of those raids where like if things start going wrong, jobs aren't getting done, it's disorganized, people start dying, like it can turn into just a res fest and a complete nightmare. So I wanted to just do normal so that we didn't have to worry about trying to stay alive and we could just focus on learning things. So if you look around us, you'll see some weird looking water. And by the way, this blue bridge behind us will disappear once we step forward, and a barrier will come up at the door and it will lock people out. They can enter the raid, but a barrier would prevent them from like getting beyond that point. And the water ticks for quite a bit of damage. I think it's 20% of your health. So it's not damage dice. It actually ticks for a percentage of your health if you're in the water. So if you get tossed out there or something, or you fall in, you want to try to get back to the main platform as quick as possible. If you have a really bad jump, it can make it difficult, if not impossible, to get back up on the platform. So coming in here with a really low jump can be a little scary. And once we step forward, and if you die in the water, your soul stone gets teleported to the center of the platform. Once we step forward, the abbot will appear in the center, and he is a lich, and so his damage reduction is bludgeoning and magic, and he's immune to cold and electric damage. However, if you were a druid now, as of update 38, you could make him vulnerable to cold damage. Or if you were a water sork, you could make him vulnerable to cold damage. Or if you were a air sork, you could make him vulnerable to electric damage. So that's something new with update 38, that any mobs that are immune to certain elemental types, the sorcerer savants can overcome that, whatever their particular savant is with their damage type, and then druids can also do that with cold and fire. If you think you have to be level 17 druid to be able to have that ability, though. So we're going to beat the abbot down to just 70% health, and then he's going to take a break, and then there's going to be a D-door that appears across the platform from us, right in front of that abbot statue. And I'll want everybody to go into that D-door. And there's going to be some trash mobs at that point. There's going to be like some vampire knights and some archers that are around the archers just spawn at the edge of the platform. The vampire knights will run around. And the archers have this sort of buff that the longer they're alive, the more damage they do. And it can get pretty serious on higher difficulties. Now, a big part of this raid is a huge and critical part of this raid is mitigating trash. There's lots of trash that is just constantly being thrown at you. And so it's essential that the group has some way to mitigate the trash. And there are different ways you can do that. You can have a trash killing crew, depending on the difficulty. On normal, you might just have a couple people. On hard, maybe 3, and on elite, maybe 4, for example. That's what I like to do. And their whole job, the whole raid, would just be run around killing trash the whole time. But another strategy is to use crowd control on them. And so tonight we're going to actually have Vengeance is going to be using Flesh to Stone on all the trash mobs. He's going to be stoning it. And one of the cool things about when you stone the mobs is they won't respawn. If you're killing trash mobs, then they just endlessly respawn. But if you stone them, it stops them from respawning. So we're just going to have like a stone garden all over the platform. And we want to make sure that we don't kill them. So watch the burst DPS. There's definitely going to be some collateral damage on the stoned mobs. Some of them are going to go down and they'll respawn and Vengeance will restone them. But generally, try not to DPS the stoned mobs. And that's definitely the easier way to deal with the trash because, like I said, once they're stoned, they don't respawn. And it makes for a much sort of calmer raid, less chaotic. Now, the trash mobs, in addition to the archers and the vampire knights, after we do a couple of objectives, there's going to be some like spectral beholders and some red name quells. The beholders can be stoned, but the quells can't be because they're red name. You can't do things like Flesh to Stone on red names. And so probably have, well, let's see. Fuss, can you help with the quells? Thanks, buddy. That way Vengeance can focus on stoning. So beat the abbot down to 70%, he'll take a break and the D-door will appear across from us, and everybody will go in there except for Vengeance, who's going to stay out here and start stoning the trash mobs that start spawning at that point. Once we get into that D-door, it's like a medium-sized room, and there's going to be an altar and a sarcophagus in the back, and there's going to be a Death Knight and a couple trash mobs, in this case 2 spectral beholders. We're going to go in there, we're going to kill the beholders, and we're going to kill the Death Knight, and then we're just going to come right back out. We got to break the sarcophagus. And then there's a quest item on the altar, and in that particular room, it's a set of goggles. And those goggles are used to see these invisible tiles that are all around. Like right now, out in the water, you can't see them right now, but there are tiles out there that are phasing in and out. And those tiles are probably at least 2 body lengths in height, and like wide and long. They're squares. And they're phasing in and out. Some of them don't phase in and out, and those are blue. But you can only see them when you have the goggles on. But they're still there right now. And those tiles sort of form a safe path to these outer D-doors. There's D-doors away in the corner of the zone. In the northeast and the southwest of the zone, there's going to be D-doors that appear there after we finish the first D-door. And you don't have to worry about those, but I want to let you know that they're there. We're going to send some folks out to do those outer D-doors. And inside those D-doors, it's basically the same as the first D-door that you're going to see. It's a medium-sized room. There's going to be a Death Knight, some trash mobs, a quest item on the altar, and a sarcophagus that needs to be broken. And all 3 sarcophagi need to be broken in order to get to the final fight. When we come out of the first D-door, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give, let's see, Baltang, you looked through the goggles before, right?
Correct.
Okay, so Sahaga, what I'll do is we'll have you get the goggles, and then you can just wear them for the rest of the raid. And all I want you to do is just have a look around in the water and see. In fact, you know what? Maybe I'm going to grab the goggles so that I can show in the live stream what that looks like. And then after I show that, I'll give them to you, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. So at that point in the raid, we're going to have the outer D-door teams going out there and taking care of those rooms. And everybody else will be here on the center of the platform. And so if we were killing trash, then the trash team would be focusing on trash. But in this case, Vengeance is going to be stoning it all. So the abbot will be sort of teleporting in and out. When he appears, it's important to get on him, because if you just sort of ignore him, he gets temperamental and he starts doing more of his special abilities, like the Inferno and the encasement and stuff. So the abbot has some special abilities, and one of them is he can encase you in a giant boulder, and you're going to take damage, like crushing damage, while you're in that, and that'll time out after a minute. But you can be broken out of that boulder if with these special rocks that are gotten from one of the outer D doors. But until we get those, there's no way to break you out. We'd have to heal you through it. But it's helpful, like if you get encased in a boulder, it's helpful to say, like voodoo encased in the north or whatever, so people with those rocks can break you out once we get them. And another special ability that the abbot has, and this is clutch, is he can do the Inferno, and he's going to say, I call upon the Inferno, and then the whole platform will go up like a giant firewall. And there are actually safe spots on the platforms that we're going to run to if there's an Inferno. And if you look at the platform, it's not a perfect circle. You see there are like corners. And those corners are safe. And you want to be like at the very, very tiptoe edge of those corners. Like especially the corners where the archers spawn from. And if you're in those corners at the very edge, you shouldn't get hit by the Inferno, but sometimes you still do. If you get hit by the Inferno, it's really important that you drink a curse pot. The Inferno acts as a curse, but it doesn't show up in your buff bar. And if you get hit by it, it's going to drain your spell points and hit points until you're dead. So it's really, really important that you watch for that. Hopefully, I should have told you guys before we stepped in here, and I apologize. But hopefully you have removed curse pots. Do both of you guys have removed curse pots? If you don't, I can give you some.
I have some.
I've got some.
Okay, cool. Hunter. Yeah, you have enough time to get in here. What's your tune name? So let's see. Where are we now? So once the outer D doors are done, then everybody will be back on the main platform. And at that point in the raid, oh yeah, spell absorption items like a jeweled cloak can be used to absorb the Inferno, if you prefer. So everybody will be back on the main platform at this point in the raid, and then Lady Vol will appear. At no point in the raid does Lady Vol ever have to be DPS. We're not trying to kill her. She's just there to stalk us and breathe dragon breath on us, and it can be a little painful on higher difficulties. Shouldn't be too bad here. And we're going to be DPSing the abbot down. He's going to be back at full, and we're going to beat him down to 50. And while that's going on, Vol's chasing us around with her dragon breath, and she's also going to be doing the marks of death. And this is also clutch. And the marks of death look like blue cloud kills, like low fog. And it's really important that you stay out of those. And I can't emphasize it enough that people who are learning this raid, I've noticed, struggle with sort of noticing those fogs and staying out of them. It's really, really important you have good spatial awareness, that you see where those blue fogs are and you stay out of it. It'll take damage really, really fast and you'll die in a matter of seconds. You can run through them pretty safely, but don't linger in them. You also cannot cast spells while you're in them. And those last like 30 seconds, and she's going to be popping those all over the platform. I mean, there might be 6, 8, 10 of them on the platform at any point. Stay out of them, so we have to stay on the move at that point. If the abbot, he's going to move around the platform, and if he teleports into a a mark of death, you need to back off and wait till he gets out of that. Just range him or something. Once the abbot gets down to 50% health, he's going to take a little break, and then 3 Death Knights are going to appear. The 3 Death Knights that we killed in the D-Door rooms. They're going to reappear, and we got to kill them again. And we're going to kill them in a certain order. They can be visually distinguished from one another because one of them has like a red aura around him, and another one has Tensor's transformation, and another one has like these subtle wispy things whirling around him. So we're going to kill the one with Tensor's transformation first, and then the red one last. And the reason why we do that is just sort of their sort of level of threat. The one that has Tensor's transformation, they all have special abilities. The one with Tensor's transformation has has an effect of if you target him with spells and ranged attacks, he makes your spells cost. There's a stacking debuff that makes your spells cost a tremendous amount of spell points, and then he also slows down your ranged attacks very significantly. So when you send people to the outer D-Door rooms, you want to make sure typically not to send spellcasters and range tunes to that one, because it's better to have people that aren't going to suffer from that debuff. And then like the other Death Knight with the wispy aura around him, he has like a quelling effect and makes it, if you're near him, or I'm not sure if it's when he hits you or if you're just near him, that you won't be able to cast divine spells. And then there's also quells, like I said, and those inhibit divine spell casting. And there's also beholders which have an anti-magic aura. So the point there is that there's lots of things in this raid that inhibit spell casting, as well as the marks of death. When you're standing in them, you can't cast spells. So this can be a problematic raid for spellcasters. Especially when things get out of hand. And you got trash mobs chasing you all around. And there's not very many people left alive. The spellcasters can't get their spells off because everything's stopping them from casting spells. After we beat down the 3 Death Knights, the Abbot, it's the final beatdown. The Abbot will be at 50%. We just need to beat him down to 0 and we win. But at that point, once the 3 Death Knights are dead, Lady Vol will start doing this like super attack, where like you're gonna see waves emanating from the center of the platform, and then she's gonna jump up in the air, and when she pounces down on the platform, it's gonna be this AoE death effect that will basically kill everybody on the platform unless you have Death Block. Death Ward is typically not gonna be good enough because Death Ward's gonna be dispelled by the Beholders. So unless you were to cast it right before she did that, then you probably would have been dispelled at that point. So it's really, really, really important you have Death Block in this raid. Otherwise, you're going to die from the AoE death effect, which has no save. And she's going to do that special move every 30 seconds from that point. But the Abbot can usually, if a decent DPS group, the Abbot can usually be DPS down within those 30 seconds. But if you've suffered from a lot of attrition at that point, or it's really disorganized, and she keeps, the longer that part goes on, the more attrition you're going to get, and the raid's going to become exceedingly difficult to complete if she starts getting multiples of those special moves off. And even if you don't die from it, it's going to do damage to you. Oops, sorry. Live streamers, I didn't mute my mic while I cleared my throat. So, I know that was a lot. So the nutshell is, we beat down the Abbot a little bit. Everybody goes into the first D-Door, kills everything in there, comes back out. Then folks are going to go to the outer D-Doors, do the same things there, come back out, beat down the Abbot to 50. Then we kill the 3 Death Knights, and then we beat the Abbot down again. Clutch to stay out of the blue fogs. Very important to go to the corners of the platforms, the outer corners, if there's an inferno. And that's the gist of it. Any questions before we get started?
If I have the goggles, how are you guys going to get to the Death Knights, or am I going with them?
Ah, good question. I'm glad you asked that. So, once someone is experienced doing the goggles, and they've done it a few times and they know where the tiles are, you can, make your way out there just by swimming through the water and healing yourself, or running where you know the tiles are. Now, the tiles are phasing in and out, so sometimes you're running and you fall in the water, but you just jump back up. Once you have a feel for where things are, it's not too hard to get to those outer detours, but it's definitely something like you would want to be pretty well practiced on those goggles. Maybe have done it, three, four, half a dozen times before you try to get out there without the goggles. So I don't know, like, if they intended, for example, to, for there's only one set of goggles, so maybe like their original intent was, somebody would have them and lead a crew to one D door, and then they'd all come back, and then they'd lead a crew to the other D door, and then they'd all come back. But like I said, once you've done goggles a handful of times, you know where the tiles are, and you can just swim or run out there. But you generally, the people that do that, that go out there without the goggles on, need to be someone who's really self-sufficient, who can self-heal, because the water does a lot of damage. And one of the frustrating things there is that it's really easy to get caught underneath the tiles. You can't see them, so you fall, and then you try to get back out, and there's a tile there that you can't see, and it's preventing you from getting out of the water, and that can kill you really quickly. But if you die, you just get teleported back to the center, and you raise up, and you try again. All right. So this was I had to explain everything ahead of time, because once this raid gets started, there's no lull. It's just everything. Like I said, it can be very chaotic, and they're just throwing just endless trash at you, and there's not really time to explain things at that point. But I will be talking us through the entire event, or the entire raid. So let's go ahead and get some buffs, and we'll make it happen. If you're feeling a little overwhelmed, don't worry. I've got 8 High Lords here that are very well versed in this raid.
What jobs are you hinting at?
Ah, yes, thank you. So northeast will be Gijo. Little Mama, if you want to help him out, you're more than welcome to, but it's just normal, so it should be fine. And I'm going to be slow on my end, because I'm going to be showing some things for the live stream. I'll do the southwest. Trash is going to be Vengeance stoning the mobs. Please do not attack stoned mobs, and Fuss is going to help out with the quells. And everyone else is part of the Abbott and Death Knight DPS group. Any questions? Ever attempted R4 plus Strahd? No. We do R1, and that's enough. We've been talking about maybe stepping it up to R2, because we got R1 down pretty well, but we actually failed in R1, our R1 run this week. But we had a few too many people that didn't know what they were doing, so it's kind of our bad for not explaining things a little bit better. But no, definitely I have not done R4 Strahd. Alright, let's do it. Oh, you can turn your DM audio on if you want to hear the Abbot.
That half-breed she-lich betrayed me. She's bound my soul to obey her will. And now she wants you dead. At least that part I'll enjoy.
The Black Abbot cackles and withdraws to his statue.
Alright, we can all go in the D door. Vengeance is going to stay out to stone the mobs. Kill the beholders and the Death Knight.
Approaching the Death Knight, you feel a shift. A
I'll
sudden
pick up the
weakness.
goggles.
The Death Knight is cutting you off from your deity. With the Death Knight's
This is the one that has the
breaks,
quelling
a
effect.
small bag appears on the room's altar.
Okay, Sahaga, I want you to follow me over here to the left. If everybody else just hang out while Vengeance stones and...
Burning with divine magic, your eyes now make out things left unseen.
So I just want to take a moment to show things for the live stream, and then I'm going to pass you the goggles so you can see. So if you're watching the live stream, you can see that there are some blue tiles. Those are static. They don't phase in and out. And the other tiles are phasing in and out, and so they form sort of a safe path to get all the way over to that D door. And on the other side, it's the same kind of thing. There are tiles over there that lead to a safe path to that D door. And so with the goggles, you just need to navigate your way through. It's pretty easy with the goggles, but you know, it can be a little nerve-wracking your first time. But I know from experience that I can just sort of swim along the side of the tiles and get over to that D door. Or you can just try to run, and I'm going to demonstrate that. Okay, Sahaga, I'm going to give you the goggles now. Go ahead and equip those and take some time to just look at the tiles. Notice that there are blue ones that don't phase in and out, and that the other ones do phase out. They stay phased in for about 10 seconds, then they start to turn red as they phase out, and then they disappear for like 3 seconds, and then they phase back in. So once you had a few moments to look at that, if you want to try to walk the safe path to the D door over there in the corner, you're more than welcome to, but you don't have to if you don't want to. But I'm going to go over and do that now.
Okay.
So I just hit myself with a cocoon. We'll do the shining through, and I can swim right here, but I do take a lot of damage. I can try to jump on the tiles that where I know where they are, and just hope I'm lucky and I made it. Sometimes I don't. Even an experienced person is going to sometimes get caught there.
Your spell and
So it's the
missile
same kind of
attacks on
thing
the Death
here.
Knight seem to be weakening you.
The Tensor's Transformation Death Knight, and he does the stacking debuff. I think that's it right there.
One of the vamps is on stone. Thank you.
Hey, you made it, Sahaga. Good job. Pretty good for your first try. Now it's worth mentioning that once an outer D door is completed, that additional trash mobs will spawn. Once one is done, the squall starts spawning, and once the other is done, the beholder starts spawning. So in order so that the center crew doesn't have to deal with trash, that extra trash is long, what we do is we coordinate the outer D doors and we don't finish them until they're both done. So the Northeast already said they're done, so now we can finish ours. And the room isn't considered completed until you until you grab the items off the altar, in this case the ice ball wands, which we're not going to use. Okay, smash and grab, and go right back out, Sahaga. But the ice ball wands,
third sarcophagus breaks, and he is once again vulnerable.
their intention of those is to
through the chamber.
This is how the mortals defeated you the last time. Isn't that right, Abbott? It doesn't suit me for you to die yet. Withdraw! And you, mortals. I know your type. So quick to judge, so quick to condemn everything that's different. As the elves and dragons condemned my house for the affront of allowing me to be born, a half-elf, half-dragon babe. They hunted down and killed every member of my house. I escaped their scrying spells only because my mother used the dragon mark of death to make me a lich.
So there's the abbot in the south.
I'm the last of the once great house full. The last to bear our mark. What a cruel jest.
The abbot was beat down to 50. He's taking a break. Now the 3 Death Knights come out.
But after centuries, I finally found a source of necromantic energy.
Kill the one with Tensor's Transformation first. He always spawns in the west.
Lich who sought to make himself into a god.
Stay out of the marks of death,
Cute.
the blue fog.
I
She
need
puts
to
down
finish
those rings
consuming
telling you it's
Abbott's
coming.
soul to make it permanent, but I've already drained enough to reawaken my mark of death. I'm eager to see it in action. Let's try it out
So
together,
we'd like to take him to
shall
the
we?
outside of the platform and
The
just
abbot
move clockwise
staggers
around the
under the weight of
platform
his
as the marks of
injuries.
death come
An
up.
exasperated Lady
That way it
Vole
just keeps
chides.
things organized.
Fine. I'll just have to finish his soul now, and the Death Knights can have you.
Once the last Death Knight goes down, Lady Vole's going to start doing her AoE death attack. You'll see waves emanating from her in the center.
Destroyed. The Vole flies
And we
up,
just need to beat
and
down the
floor of
abbot and we
chamber
win.
Begins to shake.
And someone didn't have death block.
No, Sahaga
The
died
abbot
before that.
collapses, then dissolves to dust.
And that's all.
Vole grows sullen and relinquishes her assault.
What have you done? I would have used the mark of death to
Sahaga,
give the
you can do
world
the honors on the
immortality.
chest. Congrats on your first
No
MOD.
child would have needed to live without their family.
Out of curiosity.
But
what's
without
this?
the abbot, the mark of death is truly gone. You've chosen the world as the dragons and elves would have it, where the shadow of death is always on us. Oh, I'll never stop fighting against their tyranny. But you, mortals, don't bother coming to me the next time Arganesson threatens to destroy Stormreach when something doesn't go their way.
The Ascension Chamber grows still as Lady Vole leaves.
I didn't hear your question over Lady Vole, Sahaga. But go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out what I missed on why I got knocked down. My damage went about 50 and then dead.
There's so much in this raid, you know, it's hard to say if maybe you were you could have been in one of the marks. That takes damage down really fast. You might have been at the edge of one of those blue fogs. So like I said, if this is a well-organized raid and everybody knows what they're doing, like I said, this can be done in 5 minutes. So, but if it's not organized and the trash gets out of hand, etc., like this can be a res fest and can be a chaotic mess. So let's see. I've got 2 tapestries here. I'm gonna go ahead and give them to Baltang and Sahaga.
Thank you.
Those are used to upgrade your Necro 4 loot. All the Necro 4 loot and the raid loot has 2 augment slots that you can unlock. One of them using the kinds of tapestries you get from the quest, and the other the kinds of tapestries you get from the raid. And then I've got 2 items here to roll off. D99 on the Circle of Malevolence. Got a Mythic 1 on it. That's one of the highest Intimidate items in the game. And it's a pretty good resistance item too. Got Vitality 40, Insightful Sheltering 5, and 2 unlockable augment slots. It's a pretty nice item, even by today's standards. It's not the best in slot like it used to be anymore, but it's still decent. And then D500 on the Epic Quiver of Alacrity. That's really more of a ranged item. So, I don't know if we have any ranged tunes here, though. Hey, Draper Jones, I'm glad that you're enjoying the vids. Welcome to DDO. Looks like Sahaga's the only one rolling on the circle. Grats. Does anybody who's left in want the quiver? Rashri or Sahaga want this quiver? There we go. Okay, we're going to do Fall of Truth next. Oh, any questions about Mark of Death before we move on? And any questions, folks watching the live stream? Okay, cool.
I'm gonna swap for fall also.
Alright. Looking for
Don't forget
green
to turn it
slotted
in, though.
items. Oh, cool. I've never played Neverwinter. I've never even played any of the old school
So for the
ones.
next quest, we're meeting in Giant Hold Tour, correct?
I'm reading in Giant Hold. But it's not the Tor entrance. It's the same entrance as the Heroic Raid. So just up the ramp. Straight up the ramp. Welcome back. These raids don't really go together. It's just we weren't repeating all of the raids the second go around. We're just repeating the sort of newer raids. And these are both relatively short raids, so that's why I grouped them together. And we actually only have one teaching raid event left for this year. And then we're going to shut it down for the summer and hopefully bring it back after the new year. It'd be great if you could stay on heels. Sahaga, you've attended just about every teaching raid with us. You should be pretty well versed in raids at this point.
Back.
Welcome back, Ina. Plus, you know, we host 4 nights a week. We host public raid events. So if you want to get more experience raiding with us, we've got Monday and Tuesday Legendary Shroud. We should just do Legendary Hard. 10:15 p.m. every Monday and Tuesday night. And then we do Heroic Abbot on Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Just watch for the LFMs. And then on Friday nights, we do, at 9 p.m. Eastern, we do Mark of Death, Defiler of the Just, and Riding the Storm Out at 9 p.m. Eastern. Those are public events, so if you want to get more raiding in with us, join those, man. And that goes for anybody watching the live stream. Those are public events. If you want to raid with me and my guild, and you're on Sarlona, just watch the LFMs Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. There's information in the Sarlona forum about our Thursday and Friday event. There's not about the Monday, Tuesday, but I'm going to be, after teaching raid's over, I'm going to be making one new forum post where it's just all in one spot. Yeah, we'll be taking a lot of electrical damage, so you know, sometimes people like to have, you know, some kind of absorption item or something, or energy sheet. It's up to you whether or not you want to have that. So let's see, Sahaga and Baltang, have you ever done Fall of Truth before?
No, I have not.
No, I haven't.
Okay, have you done the Heroic Raid, Reaver's Fate?
No, I haven't.
Nope, not that one either.
Okay, wow. That's a classic one. We did that one in the first half of the Teaching Raid series, and we did like the Heroic and the Epic version, but in the second half of the series, it was only repeating sort of the newer raids, so... in any event, kind of like Mark of Death, is to the Heroic Abbot raid, Fall of Truth, when you first step in, it looks just like the Heroic Reaver's Fate raid, but it's actually a completely different raid. But at first, when you first step in, you think, oh, it's the same thing. Can somebody ask in Guild if any of the guildies want these last 2 spots? Tell them we're gonna do Epic Elite. So we're gonna do Epic Elite. That way everybody gets their maximum favor and stuff, and we'll get a better chance at loot. It definitely can be a little more chaotic on Elite, but I know that we can handle it. We've done Epic Elite for our teaching raids for this one for the last couple of years. So hopefully you're all okay with that. And if you get banged around too much, I apologize. And this is another one that can also be, it can be pretty chaotic at first too, but it definitely calms down a little bit later as you start getting the mobs under control and start taking out some of the mobs. But oops, gotta go pick up the raid. Go ahead and step in on Epic Elite Fall of Truth. And this is also going to be one where, like, I'm going to have to explain the entire raid ahead of time because, there's not really any break once it gets started. There's one point where there's a little bit of a lull, but there's never, like, it's not like Shroud where at the end of a part you can sort of break and explain the next part.
Can we reset it quick? I'm in the wrong destiny.
Oh, just go ahead. It's fine. You can re-enter. This one's not worth much XP anyways.
Yeah, I can manage.
Okay. Bolo, would you mind holding the door for us?
Sure.
Okay, Bolo's gonna stay here, and everybody else can come over here to the right. The raid won't start until everybody walks away from the door, so Bolo's gonna hold that.
I don't have long. I don't need long. Just do it, Shaman.
So, here's how this raid works. Well, you've all done...
Go. Seal the chamber and warn the others.
We'll wait till he's done talking. So Sahaga and Baltang, you guys done Giant Hold Tour. Have you done the dragons? Like where you have to kill the dragon and the giant at the same time?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been there, done that.
Okay, cool. This raid is like kind of like all of Giant Hold Tour in one big room. So like in Tor, you just you have to fight a giant and dragon to beat them down at the same time, and then you have to kill them at the same time, otherwise they regenerate, right? Well, now we've got like all of that in one room. So there's actually 4 sets of giants and dragons that all need to be beat down at the same time in pairs. We'll deal with them in pairs at a time, but they all need to be prepped and then killed at the same time. And then so there's the first 3 pairs, and then the final pair is the Storm Reaver and the Truthful One. The Truthful One is the Dracolich. And so once we get started, the floor that we're standing on is going to break out, and we're going to fall down to a much larger arena. It's kind of like we're standing like above a big bowl, kind of. And the Storm Reaver is going to start on fighting for us. He's going to be on our side, but later in the raid, he's going to get charmed by the Truthful One, and then we're going to have to fight the Storm Reaver. But at first, he's going to be fighting for us. And so he might get the aggro of like some of the giants and dragons right away, and they'll be fighting him on the opposite side of the arena from us, kind of like over where those stairs are, but down at the next level. There's no stairs down below that. But we want to start here. I like to start here on the east side because once the floor drops out and we sort of keep pushing east back into this cubby, hopefully we won't draw the aggro of everything. Hopefully we'll only draw the aggro of what we want. But sometimes it'll all aggro us on us right away. So it's, if that happens, it can be pretty chaotic at first. But you just never know. But ideally, we'll drop down we'll get very little aggro, and we'll just pull over the giant and the dragon that we want to deal with. We'll beat those down, get them prepped, and then we don't kill until the order is given. It's very important that we just prep them and you don't kill them until the order is given. If they are killed out of sequence, and you have about a 10-second window to get them both dead, and if you don't, just like in Tor when you're doing the giants and dragons there, if they're not killed at the same time, they'll just regenerate to full. And so in a disorganized group, this raid can literally be uncompletable because you're just going to, dragons and giants are just going to keep getting back up. So it's really important that people are paying attention and, like I said, not killing until the order is given. And so in a disorganized pug, this one can be kind of a mess. So the first three giant dragon pairs, they all have names to distinguish them. So it's like, the dragons are like the disciple of lies and the disciple of confusion and the disciple of silence, and then their corresponding giants are like, Bjorn the liar and somebody else the confused and somebody else the silent. I can't remember all their names, but it's the words confused or confusion, silent, and lies appear in their names. So that's how we'll know that those are the appropriate pairs. And we're going to kill them in the order of lies, confused, and silence. And just like with the way we killed the Death Knights in Mark of Death in a certain order, because it was like we got rid of the ones that were the biggest threat first. That's why we kill in the order of lies, confused, silence. They all have different special abilities. Some of them do like dancing balls or a confusion effect and stuff. It's not so important that that stuff is discussed. In fact, at this point, I don't even really remember what all their abilities are. It's just, we've been doing this raid for so many years and doing it in that order for so many years that I've sort of forgotten why that was the order and everybody's specific abilities. But like, for example, the confusion ability affects the cooldown of your spells. So we're going to kill them in the order of the lies pair first, and then the confused pair, and then the silence pair. And there's going to be trash mobs or like wraiths and air elementals to deal with. And we're going to have like a couple people assigned to dealing with trash. And it's also really good to have one proper tank deal with the truthful one. The truthful one, when we're dealing with the first pair, he's just going to be flying up like looking at us. But once we kill the first pair, he's going to come down and then he's start getting in our faces. And the truthful one, he does fire breath and electric breath, and it's pretty intense. So it's really good if you have a proper tank that can grab him and pull him away from the party and just keep at that point the tank will just, all his or her job is just to pull the truthful one away and to babysit the truthful one while the rest of the party is beating down the pairs. Oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna grab him. Thank you for asking. Hey Mitch, thanks for joining us. I'm just in the middle of explaining things, so you got plenty of time to come on in. Bolo is holding the door for us. Okay, so after we beat down the first pair, the tank will grab the aggro of the truthful one and pull him aside. And then we're going to do the second pair, which is the confused pair. We're going to beat them down, get them prepped, and then kill them when they're both prepped and the order is given. And then we'll start working on the final pair, which is the silence pair, lies, confused, and silence. And like I said, most of the crew is going to be working on the dragons and giants, and then we'll have a couple of people assigned to trash. The trash can get pretty out of hand. So self-sufficient people that maybe insta-killers or people that are good at killing trash mobs without using a bunch of resources is ideal. Now, if we get everything aggro's on us right away, and just so we don't have so much stuff in our face, since the truthful one isn't down yet, a good role for the tank is they can grab the giants and dragons that we don't want and just sort of pull them aside into the next cubby. There's going to be like cubbies all along the outside of the arena down there. and then once we get done with the first pair, the truthful one will appear, and the tank can grab him, pull him aside, and then we'll deal with the remaining pairs. Once the first 3 pairs are killed, then what's going to happen is we're going to have to beat down the Doomsday device, which is like this big red crystal that's floating high above us, and we'll have to range that down. It's going to be shooting its little laser beam at us. It doesn't do too much damage, but at that point in the raid, as long as the tank has no problem holding the truthful one, then you sort of have some time to, like, if you have some deaths, you can get people up. There is a death timer in here. In fact, I think this might have been... No, this wasn't the first raid with death timers. I think the first raid with death timers was House C. But there's definitely a little bit of a lull, like I said. If the tank has no problem holding the truthful one, then you have plenty of time to, get people raised and, maybe use some spell point clickies or something while the crystal is being beat down. Once the crystal is destroyed, then what's going to happen is the truthful one's like, alright, it's time to get serious, and then he charms the Storm Reaver. And then the Storm Reaver starts attacking us. And what we'll do at that
If you
point...
want to get technical, he dominates him, not charms.
He dominates him, not charms him. So, at that point, we're going to have a separate tank pull the Storm Reaver aside. And the Storm Reaver tank doesn't have to be a tank proper. You don't have to have, like, massive AC or PRR. But what you do need to have is good electrical damage mitigation, because the Storm Reaver does, like, pretty serious electrical damage. And he's going to do this special attack called the Boom. And this is really clutch right here, because this is something that can wipe lesser prepared parties, I suppose. Is that the Boom is like, he puts this like cloud on you, and it's going to say 3, 2, 1, boom on your screen if you have that. And then when it goes boom, you take a lot of electrical damage. But the Boom is like, it's like contagious. If you're near somebody who has the Boom, then you're going to get it. And then you're going to get that cloud, and then it's going to say 3, 2, 1, boom, and then you're going to take a lot of electrical damage. And the thing is, because it's contagious, the Boom can be spread to the entire party very quickly. So it's really important that the Storm Reaver and the Storm Reaver tank are kept far away from the rest of the party, and nobody gets near the Storm Reaver except the Storm Reaver tank. And if anybody gets the Boom, they should go away from the party. Just look at the little mini map and go away from all the other dots until the Boom subsides. Because the worst thing that you can do is get the Boom and then run to the rest of the party and give it to them, and that just turns into this mess where it's really hard to get rid of it. Like if you have the whole party with it, and you're just going to keep giving it to each other over and over and over. So you kind of all have to disperse at that point and just wait for it to time out. When you get situations where somebody gives the Boom to the whole party, years ago when this came out, that was going to wipe a party pretty much. Today, probably not, but it could still probably make things really, really messy. I guess it could still definitely wipe a party on higher difficulties, and it could definitely make people start screaming at you. And like I've said many times before, one of the reasons why we do these teaching raids is so if you join a pug of these raids, you don't get yelled at. I don't want you to get yelled at. But if you give the Boom to the rest of the party, your party probably would yell at you. Okay, so the Storm Reaver has a lot less hit points than the Truthful one, so a decent Storm Reaver tank will be able to beat him down by themselves. And so the rest of the party will be beating on the Truthful one from behind while the tank is holding the Truthful one, a couple cubbies away. Once the Truthful one is beat down to, 70% health maybe, the dragons, he'll resummon the dragons as undead versions of themselves. So we'll have 3 undead dragons to deal with. At that point, I'm going to have everybody except the tank, except the Truthful one tank, break off and beat down the dragons. Now, some groups will just have somebody kite the dragons, and that's fine too. We used to do it that way, but I decided to, start to do it where we actually kill the dragons off, but even though it takes a little extra time, it just gets them out of the way, just in case anything goes wrong. If the kiter goes down, then, the dragons disperse and they start getting in everybody's faces, and that can become problematic. So just to sort of get them out of the way, takes a little bit longer, but it just gets them out of the way and makes things simpler just in case something goes wrong later in the raid. And so I'm going to need somebody that maybe can hold the dragon's aggro while the party are beating them down one at a time. Who can do that? I want one of the High Lords to do that. Whether you just want to run them around or... It doesn't matter. Fuss, do you think you can do that? Can you run the undead dragons around while the party's beating them down? Cool. So we're going to kill the undead dragons, but if you can like run 2 of them around while the party's killing the first one, and then they'll pull them off you as they kill them. Thank you. After the 3 undead dragons are killed, then the party will go back on the truthful one. We'll be prepping down the truthful one and the Stormreaver. We'll kill them at the same time. If we don't kill them at the same time, they get right back up. We kill them at the same time, then we win. So the nutshell is prep and kill the first 3 pairs at the same time. Kill the crystal. Start working on the truthful one while the Stormreaver is kept separate. Then kill the undead dragons when they appear. Back on the truthful one. Prep the truthful one and the Stormreaver. Kill them at the same time. Then we win. Any questions?
Who's going to raise me this time when I blow it?
We have our outstanding healer Yao for that. Okay, I'm going to type in jobs. I want to put a couple people on trash duty. Who can do that? Okay, cool. One more person on trash duty. One more High Lord. Thank you, Mitch. This is not a raid that we do anymore, and the only time I run this raid now is when we're doing it as a teaching raid. So I feel like I'm a little rusty. But in any event, our truthful one tank is be Bolo. I'll do the Reaver. Vengeance and Mitch are going to take care of trash. Everyone else is going to be prepping and killing the pairs in the order of the Lies pair, then the Confused pair, then the Silence pair. A couple other little things. One, that like the Wraiths have this special ability where they can like gang up and like sacrifice themselves in like a big electrical explosion. So that can be pretty intense. Also, trash mobs spawn when people get hit by the dragon's breath. So when you're fighting the dragons, don't stand in front of them. The more people they hit by the dragon breath, the more trash mobs that are going to spawn. Any questions before we start?
Is that when they're alive and undead, or either or?
The kill order is for both when they're alive and when they're the undead versions.
I think that was the second question. Actually, I was asking about the trash mob spawn, though.
That's a good question. I'm not sure about breath from the undead dragons that causes trash mobs to spawn. So, yeah, pay attention to that, see if that happens. I'm never part of that group. I'm always like dealing with the Stormreaver, sometimes the Truthful one, but I'm typically the Stormreaver tank. Okay, no problem. There's so many of these raids, Jim White, that like we don't even do them anymore in guild, except for like twice a year when we do them as teaching raids. So sometimes I get a little out of practice these days. No problem. Bolo, go ahead and come on over, and let's get some buffs once everybody's here. Once the Storm Reaver and the Truthful One are gonna have some dialogue. Once they finish their dialogue, the floor is gonna break out, and we want to push to the east. We'll tell you when.
Battles that even a giant can't face alone. Tonight, we lure, trap, and slay the Truthful One, so he cannot do to the little people what he did to mine. Come, first we destroy this doomsday machine for good.
Now, why would you destroy that machine? It did so much for you.
We meet again, Drake. Come down here and fight, or forever be known as a coward.
Why do you say forever like it's a bad thing?
Your words are poison, dragon. I will not be fooled again.
My words are true, and thus cut deep. I cannot die. Now, you were saying?
My wise men have sealed this chamber. Dead, alive, or whatever you are, your evil stays here forever.
Be careful
Okay,
where you
run to the
tread,
east now. Push against the wall. Everybody
lest
run
you
east.
Step in the trap you set for another.
Don't stop pushing back until we hit the floor.
Slay this fool. I hope his next reincarnation is less obtuse.
Okay, so hopefully we'll only aggro the ones we want. Here comes the Lies pair. That's good. And it looks like the other ones are not aggroed on us right now. So we're just gonna prep these guys and kill them together. Remember, don't kill until the order is given. Looks like the confused giant came over, but that's not a big deal. At least we don't have everything over here. Okay, the dragon's at 25%. Looks like the giant needs a lot of work. So stop DPS on the dragon, please. Work on the... Oh, no, wait a minute. The giants, they're
Giant's
prepped.
almost down.
Yeah, go ahead and kill them. Kill the Lies pair. I was looking at the wrong dragon. Okay. The Truthful One appears. Bolo's going to pull him aside.
Well, looks like I'll have to get
We're going to work on the
involved
confused pair next,
myself, after all.
which we can pull over. We can range the Disciple of Confusion over, since he's on the Truthful One right now. Looks like Fuss got him.
I'm down, he just went there.
Let us know when your timer's up.
You've got 1 minute.
Dragon's at 50.
Confusion at 50.
Work on the giant, confused giant.
Giants at about 10.
Oh, jeez. I stopped DPS. I'm a little bit behind now on my dragon because I wasn't DPSing. Okay, go ahead and kill. Kill the confused pair.
You've made
Perfect.
your point. If you want to destroy this old doomsday device so badly, fine. Here it is. Do what you will.
Where's the
My lingering grip's up.
Okay. Cool. We're gonna range over the Disciple of Silence, who's on the Storm Reaver right now. He's at 50. What's the giant at?
About the same.
About 30.
They're both at about a third.
Okay, great.
Giant at a quarter.
Go ahead and take him down. Okay, this is the part in the raid where we have to kill the crystal. It's above us. And this is the lull I was talking about. As long as your Truthful One tank has no problem holding the Truthful One, then we really have all the time in the world right now. The crystal is just going to pew-pew us a little bit, no big deal. But if you had like a lot of attrition at this point, it's a good time to raise people, use spell point clickies and whatnot, and just sort of regroup and stuff. As soon as that crystal goes down, then the Truthful One's going to dominate the Storm Reaver, and I'm going to grab the Storm Reaver, and what we're going to do is the Storm Reaver and the Truthful One and then the Undead Dragons, we're going to kind of form a triangle, and we're going to have those 3 different things at the different points of the triangle, keeping them as far away as we possibly can. We want the Truthful One group to be far away from the Storm Reaver and the Storm Reaver tank, and then the Undead Dragons far away from either of those, just to keep everything out of everybody else's hair, and to make sure the Storm Reaver doesn't give the boom
Of course,
to anybody.
we are bound. Death and life, life and death. You must kill us both. Together. Silence! Your spell is gone, Storm Reaver. And so is your time. Do as I say. Yes, Master.
Vengeance, Ina, and all you guys, I'm gonna pull the Reaver over there, so get over to the... Everybody head over to, like, the west.
Kill these peons! They know too much! Yes, Master.
If you get the boom, remember, stay away from everybody else. Just run away from everybody else until it times out. So now everybody should be beating on the Truthful One from behind. When the Truthful One gets down to about 70% health, the Undead Dragons are going to appear, and then everybody except the tanks will break off and work on the Undead Dragons.
This is clearly not working.
Just turned on block energy.
Serve me.
Okay, break off the Truthful One, work on Undead Dragons. Fuss is gonna run them around. Everybody should be working on the Lies Dragon. Except for Fuss, who's gonna run around the other 2, and then the 2 tanks are holding the Reaver and the Truthful One. See, it says 3, 2, 1, and boom, then I get struck by lightning. You see I'm surrounded by this cloud. Well, it's gone now. One of the dangers is the Reaver can fling me across the way, and if I get flung towards the party, or if he's just even facing the party, when he comes after me as I'm trying to get back here, he can give them the boom from across the arena. So that's why I want to keep him faced into the cubby. And if he flings me, I need to get back here as fast as possible. Work on the Confused One next.
I'm dead for 2 minutes.
This is also one of only 2 places that gives commendations of heroism. The other place is Caught in the Web raid. This is the better place to get them from though, because it's a shorter raid and you get more from the chest. You're guaranteed to get some from the chest. Whereas Caught in the Web is a little bit longer and you're not guaranteed to get any.
Dragons are down.
Okay, work on the truthful one. The Reaver's only at like 30% right now, so.
Truthful one's about the same.
Okay.
Truthful one's at 5.
Okay, don't kill the truthful one. I'm not ready on the Storm Reaver yet, guys. Stop
Okay, stop DPS on the truthful one.
I just need about 30 seconds. I hear people ranging the Reaver, and that's fine as long as it's light DPS. You don't pull aggro with mini shot or something. But you definitely don't want anybody meleeing the Reaver. Okay, Reaver's just about prepped. What's Truth? Is Truth ready? Go ahead and take down the Truth. Stop Reaver DPS. Stop Reaver DPS. Or kill the Truth.
My lingering death.
Truthful one's down.
And we win. And that is the fall of Truth. Congrats on your first completion, guys. Let me know if you have any questions.
So that this may end. I have done what I must. Now, I rest.
Alright, Baltang, since you got beat up a little bit in there, you can grab the big chest in the center. Sahaga, you can help yourself to the other chests. Any final questions in the live stream, let me know. If you guys have any questions about either of the raids that we've done tonight, let me know.
I got a debuff on me from the breath line. That goes just a bit close to the front.
That should go away once you exit.
Yeah, it's going away. I just was curious where I got it from.
Oh yeah, from the... You said Breath of Lies, right? It just came from the Lies Dragon. Alright, I got 2 stacks of commendations of heroism. I'm going to give them to our new folks here. Sahaga and Baltang. And I've got a Ring of Deceit, which is still a pretty nice item. I mean, it's not... This used to be awesome, and the Halcyon Boots used to be awesome. But, the Ring of Deceit is still not bad. D99 on the Ring of Deceit, D50 on the Halcyon Boots.
Mine were better.
Anybody else rolling?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Fuss gets the Ring of Deceit. And Baltang gets the boots. Congrats, guys.
Thank you kindly.
Any questions about Fall of Truth? Or Mark of Death? Then that is all. Don't forget to turn this one in. Have a great night. Next week is going to be the final teaching raid of 2018 with Heroic and Legendary Hound of Zoriat. Thanks for coming out, everyone.
Thank you kindly.
You're very welcome.
Congrats, everyone. Have a good evening.
If there's any final questions on the live stream, let me know. And I'm going to be shutting down the video feed. But I'll be monitoring the chat for about 5 minutes. And I will respond to any final questions for about 5 minutes. So I'm going to shut down the video feed now. Thanks for joining us, and have a great night.